F1 and high-end watches have gone hand in hand for decades. And in this video, I'm going to tell you who wears what and why. Let's get started. F1 has a huge worldwide audience, an audience that loves high-end watches. 9 out of the 10 current F1 teams have a watch sponsor. Do you know the team that doesn't? Well, if you stay long enough, I'll enlighten you. But why are watch companies so enamoured with Formula One? Well, it's the pinnacle of the sport. It's about speed. Speed equals time. And of course, time is what they're selling. F1 commands a huge worldwide audience. Many of those supporters, both at the track and at home, are affluent and highly impressionable. Allow me to go through the list of the 9 teams that do have watch sponsors. Let's kick it off with Mercedes. Their watch sponsor is IWC Schaffhausen. Red Bull has Tag Heuer and has had for a long time. Originally, they started sponsoring drivers, the likes of Niki Lauda, Ayrton Senna, and they're prominently featured on the Red Bull car. Ferrari, well, they used to have Hublot. They recently changed over to Richard Mille. Richard Mille actually sponsored 2 teams. The second is McLaren. Alpine, sponsored by French watch company Bell & Ross, famous for those square-designed watches. Aston Martin has Girard-Perregaux as of last year. British racing team Williams has British watchmaker Bremont. Alfa Romeo this year got into bed with a largely unknown watch manufacturer, Rebellion. And the 9th of the 10 teams, Haas, is sponsored by Cirrus. So which team did I miss out? Yes, it is AlphaTauri, previously linked with Casio Edifice, but no longer. Oh, and what about Rolex, I hear you cry? Well, Rolex does not sponsor a team. It does not sponsor a driver. Well, it does in effect. It actually sponsors brand ambassador Jackie Stewart, who is often seen in the paddock with his Rolex shirt on. And as I mentioned in a number of my videos, his left sleeve is a little shorter than his right, because he wants his watch to be able to poke out the bottom. And that is an actual fact. I asked Jackie about that, when was it, late last year, and he did in fact confirm it with me. So Rolex sponsor him, and they've also sponsored Nico Rosberg, pictured here wearing the Rolex Hulk. You will see Rolex signage at the track at many events. They are major investors. The value of the F1 Rolex sponsorship runs into the tens of millions of dollars. They are highly visible, and it's funny because I go to a lot of Rolex stores around the world. I'm always interested to see what watches they have. And over the last couple of years, I've found very few watches for sale in the shop windows of a Rolex store. And certainly if you're after something like a stainless steel Daytona, as you see here, you'll have a very hard time ever seeing one of those on the shelves. And if you're wondering how I shot that shot, I use this little device, a Sandmark, that you put your mobile phone on. Thank you to the company for sending me one of these. It's a remarkable bit of kit. Details in the description below. But I digress. Having gone through all of the 10 teams, let's look at the situation in detail, starting with Mercedes. Their drivers wear the IWC Big Pilots watch almost exclusively. You'll also see the logo on the car on the outside of the front wing, and you'll see it on the driver's race gloves. Now that is a remarkable promotion. That was kicked off by IWC many years ago. Getting back to the Big Pilots watches, Lewis has been spotted in a number of different models, and of late he tends to be seen mostly in this Perpetual Calendar Top Gun edition Mojave Desert, just over 3 times the price of the standard Big Pilots watch. His teammate George Russell, seen here wearing an IWC Pilot chronograph with a black strap. Let's jump to Red Bull now, and both of the drivers wear Tag Heuer watches, as does Christian Horner. And what watches are both drivers wearing? Max, for most of last year, 2021, wore the Monaco Grey Titanium, reasonably priced at €7,500. And in Monaco, Tag did a deal that saw all of the females handing out trophies also wearing that same watch. They are given to those girls minutes before the trophy presentation, and as they come off stage, they're reclaimed by the sponsor. But lately, Max has been wearing this round dial Carrera, which could well be custom made, as I couldn't find it anywhere on the Tag Heuer site. Sergio Perez, I've spotted him wearing a tourbillon, which for those who don't know much about watches means very, very expensive. This is indeed the Carrera Tourbillon Mexico Sergio Perez limited edition, limited to just 21 pieces. Ferrari, the glamour brand of Formula One. Who do they have on board? As I mentioned earlier, it's Richard Mille. It was Hublot. And last year, Richard Mille took it over. They have signage on the halo, on the driver's clothing and helmets. These watches are high-end. They go up to as high as 1.3 million euros. Now, of course, if you're paying more than $10 for a watch, you're not buying it to tell the time. And if you go back to Rolex, it's not only image, it's resale value, because a watch like this one here, which will set you back 18,500 Aussie dollars, can easily be flipped for double that. Charles, he's wearing a Richard Mille RM6702. This was a watch that was made especially for him, and you'll note that the colours on the watch are the colours of the Monaco flag. It weighs just 32 grams. That's pretty light in watch terms. And his teammate Carlos Sainz, here he is wearing an RM3502 Rafa Nadal. This was launched in 2016, no longer in production. Retail price, I think back then, was around 155,000 Aussie dollars, now worth around 425,000 Aussie dollars. And I've also seen Carlos wear this watch, an RM1101 Roberto Mancini in titanium. Now, some of you are going to be thinking that is a ridiculous amount of money to pay for a watch, and you are right. It is crazy. But these watches are things of beauty, almost art, certainly mechanically amazing. Oh, and do the drivers wear these watches when they're racing? I can't tell you about all of them, but I certainly can tell you that Romain Grosjean, when he raced, he had a Richard Mille, and he wore his every time he raced. And the second team to be sponsored by Richard Mille is McLaren. Now, McLaren, going back some 30 years, was sponsored by Tag Heuer. But having made the change to Richard Mille, you will see the logo on the side of the car and on the drivers' race suits. Let's look at which watches the drivers wear. In 2019, Lando wore this RM1103 McLaren, made especially for McLaren, worth just shy of 185,000 euros. In 2021, he was wearing a blue 6702. Of course, you'll remember he had one stolen, yes, in a mugging outside Wembley. And this year, he's wearing the Richard Mille RM11 Black Knight. Daniel Ricciardo, well, he's seen here in a Richard Mille 6702 in McLaren colours. This is a special edition made only for ambassadors of the brand, and as such, it's valued at priceless. Do the drivers keep these watches? Well, that depends on the deal that the drivers strike with the team. Jumping now to Alpine, you'll find the Bell & Ross logo is featured on the Alpine car and on the driver's sleeves. And do both drivers wear a Bell & Ross? No. Only one, and that's Esteban Ocon, seen here in the BR03-94 A521, limited to just 500 pieces. And I can tell you that on the rear of this watch, Esteban has an inscription after he won last year's Hungarian GP. A couple of things you'll notice on this watch. One, that the constructor's colours are featured, black, blue and white. And secondly, if you look closely at the hand in the middle, you'll see that the Alpine logo is on it. That's not the second hand of the watch. The second hand is one of the smaller subdials. This watch is worth around 7,000 euros. And what about Fernando Alonso's Bell & Ross? Well, he doesn't wear one. He's personally sponsored by Richard Mille. And obviously in his contract, when he came to Alpine, he said, look, I'm not going to wear the Bell & Ross watch. I'm going to wear my own. And he does. But I find the conflict of sponsors interesting here, because you've got Bell & Ross on the sleeve and then you've got Fernando's Richard Mille. They're competing. AlphaTauri, they are the team that has no watch sponsor. They did have Casio Edifice, but that partnership ended last year. So now, what are the drivers wearing? Well, Yuki Tsunoda wears no watch. His teammate, Pierre Gasly, well, he's pretty happy about that because he gets to wear his own watch. He personally bought this, a Hublot Big Bang Unico King Gold watch, and he has a green band on it. Aston Martin are sponsored by Girard-Perregaux, founded in 1791. They're in their second year sponsoring Aston Martin. You'll find the logo on the sleeve of the team shirts. But when I was researching this video, going back through all my photos this year of both of the drivers, I could not find one where the drivers were wearing the watch at the track. Now, I see lots of photos with Seb wearing his Garmin watch, which is obviously a fitness watch, measures his steps and heart rate, but no Girard-Perregaux watch. Alfa Romeo, they welcomed Rebellion as their watch sponsor this year. This is a company that's been around since 2007. It's a pretty out there brand. They have some bizarre designs. Now, they haven't made the drivers wear some of their wacky watches. Instead, they've given them something a little toned down in their range. This is the Revolt, worth around 22,500 euros. And both drivers wear that watch, with Zhou Guanyu featuring in some advertising, which no doubt would be very big in China. Two to go, Williams being the second last, and they are sponsored by Bremont in the second year of the contract. I didn't know a great deal about Bremont. They've been around since 2002 though. You'll see their logo on the halo of the Williams car, and their drivers do wear the watches at the track. Nicholas here seen wearing the white-faced WR22, which is worth around €6,000. And finally, Haas, as I mentioned earlier on, they lost Richard Mille going back 2 years ago. They were without a watch sponsor for half of 2021. And then this company came on board, Cirrus. Now, I've never heard of Cirrus before this, and I guess that's what a company like Cirrus wants to do, is they want to get that name out there to an audience that is passionate about Formula One, and hopefully they sell a watch or two from it. This is Mick wearing a Klepsis Dice chronograph engraved with limited edition 1 of 50 on the perimeter of the sapphire caseback. This is worth around $35,000. And Kevin Magnussen, which Cirrus is he wearing? I've not got a picture of him wearing a watch at all. If you've enjoyed this video, here's your chance to hit the like button, please. Subscribe if you haven't done so, and join as a member for some great freebies. You'll find all of my digital images at prostarpics.com. for a range of merchandise, wall art and F1 photo books sent directly to you almost anywhere in the world. You'll order those at kimillman.com. And for my best images live from the track and all during the week, head to Instagram and search at Kim Illman. Thanks for watching and stay passionate. Which is worth around, can't see,